I swear, every time I try to film a video, it looks like I'm nude, but I swear I have a shirt on. Hello, lovelies. It is Davina Daras. So today I thought that it was time for me to sit down and make a proper video about why I decided to quit photography officially. First off, I want to talk about how I began and why I started my photography journey. So this upcoming fall will mark officially 10 years that I was doing photography. I started when I was 18 years old. I was quite literally fresh out of high school. My sister and I had decided to live in London, England for the summer, and it was magical, to say the least. My entire life, my sister was a photographer. I was always hanging out with her and watching her do her thing. I was always modeling for her. I was always playing behind the camera whenever she would ask me to help her with things. And so naturally I had this knack for photography. I had an eye. I was really good at it, in my opinion. It was something that I had fun doing when I was helping my sister out. It was something that I was good enough at that if I ever wanted to try it, I knew that I would be successful. It was one of those things where when you grow up watching your parent do something or your older sibling do something, naturally it just kind of feels familiar and it feels normal. It feels kind of easy to get into. And I believe, looking back now, I think that's what was happening. I was this young girl who, fresh out of high school, was in this big city with all these incredible artists, was with my sister, was watching people create amazing things through this art form. And I felt so out of place. I grew up in Maine. I grew up in a small-ish town. You know, Portland, Maine was not a place of creation. It was a place of community. It was a place of music and food and drink and tourism. I was from this completely different world. And then I went to London and I was immersed in so much art and history and beautiful architecture and diversity. It was just everything I ever wanted and more. And it activated this part inside of me that was very dormant most of my life. You know, for once, the creator in me felt like she could thrive. She felt like she had an opportunity, but it was in a different way. Because all of my life, I was a writer, I was a lover of dance, I loved to help people. I really struggled with my self-expression due to depression and poor environments that I was in, whether it was poor friendship dynamics in school, poor living situations, growing up in poverty, all of that. So when I found photography, it kind of felt like a beacon of hope. It felt like a light at the end of the tunnel. It felt like something that I could do that would connect me to others and that could show people that I was worthy. When I was in school talking about my passion for writing, for literature, for dancing, to potentially pursue modeling, I had all these ideas. All of my passions, the things that I genuinely loved, were always shut down. I feel by teachers, by certain peers, I was always told, don't be a writer because writers make no money, which is not entirely false. They told me not to get into modeling because to be a model you had to look a certain way. Definitely couldn't pursue dance because my body was not the ideal frame as well. So all of the things that were so natural to me, the things that were in my heart since I was a young child, which was to use my voice, storytelling, to be theatrical, to be entertaining, to move and to be sensual, connection, to be a lover, all of these things that embodied me from the very beginning, since the dawn of time, I felt like I didn't fit the part for those. And to be a photographer, that was so much easier because I could tell a story, I could showcase beauty, but I myself could remain behind the scenes. I didn't feel like I fit the part in a lot of ways, so I found a way to express myself while leaving myself outside of the frame. I feel that I picked up photography pretty quickly. Since I had a very good mentor at the time, my sister, I learned Photoshop fairly quickly and I created these gorgeous pieces of art. I met beautiful people. I have zero regrets for ever beginning photography because for the first, I would say 3 years of me doing it, it was all consuming and it was incredible. It was amazing. You know, I left high school. I didn't go to college. I wanted to be a photographer. I wanted to do this thing that got me out of the house and in the world and meeting people and trying new things. Although I have always been a writer and a lover of dance and sensual, all of these things that I loved when I was young were very isolating. And when I was younger, I didn't have a lot of friends. I got bullied at school. So my more solitary practices, I feel, didn't always empower me because I spent so much time on my own already. And naturally, I am a very extroverted person. So doing photography fed this other part of my being. It got me outside of my comfort zone. And it really was the thing that kickstarted my growth. But as the years continued to pass, as I got better in my field, as I honed my craft, as I became more confident with what I was doing and the way I was connecting with people, I realized that I was so much more passionate about holding space for people than I ever was photographing them. In the beginning, I loved the craft. In the beginning, all I wanted to do was take all the pictures. But as I continued to do it, as my social media following grew, I had a different account at the time. I think I had maybe 2,000 to 3,000 followers, which is not a lot in comparison to influencers today. But for a 19, 20-year-old girl back in 2016, 2017, for me, that was like, oh my God. You know, I was finally doing something that I was proud of and I was able to show people that I was good at it and I had no doubts. I realized how much social media was influencing my motivation towards photography. It no longer felt like something that I was obsessing over on my own. It felt like something I was obsessing over for the validation, for the confirmation that I was worthy. I would say when I was 20, that was when the dilemma started to begin. My relationship with photography and my relationship with social media, that was when I could really feel it affecting my brain, and I was starting to feel, I guess you could say, anxious. I was feeling a little, not emotionally unstable, but I was starting to feel like my actions weren't entirely my own because I had become so committed to this thing. This thing had become such a big part of my identity. I didn't know how to see myself outside of that. In addition to being in my early 20s, someone who was fresh out of school and still figuring out who the fuck she is, which is what every single early 20-year-old is doing, I realized that there is such a difference in my passions when I am online versus offline, when I am on social media for however many days, weeks, months, versus when I go off of it for a month or two at a time. I realized that when I started to take breaks, I could think clearly again, and my love for photography was starting to change. All of this led up to when I quit the first time, which was back in 2018. I went on my 3-year hiatus, and I remember I was off social media for like 2 or 3 months at that time. It was incredible. It was transformative. It was life-changing. I talk about that time all the fucking time because it was the best. It was the summer before I turned 21, and this was actually when I fell back in love with my sensuality. This is when I started to heal my relationship with my body. It was insane how when the noise in my brain began to clear, when I started to hear more of the mental silence, I could feel more of my body. I could feel more of my physicality. I came home to my sensuality, my femininity. I was expressing myself through embodiment, through movement again, no longer strictly through imagery. I've told this story many times of how I came home to my sensuality as a 20, 21-year-old and how it was such a beautiful, remarkable time, and that was what started my sensuous journey to where I am today. And then when I decided to come back to photography, which was, I want to say 2022. That was when I was officially, okay, I'm back in the rhythm. I'm here. I'm doing it. I was becoming more consistent with it. I was setting the foundation for my business. I didn't want to just be a photographer. That was when I started to incorporate the coaching element as well. And I was really proud of the brand that I was building. And this is where I've been the last 2-3 years of my life. You know, for the first time I had a structure. I didn't feel like I was getting lost in the reason as to why I was doing things. I felt very grounded. I felt like my mission was clear. And the community that I have built in the last however many years has been beautiful. You know, the people that I've helped, the friends that I've made, the art that I've made. This time last year, I was exploring the erotic arts. I was going deeper with my love of the sensual artistry, and I felt fucking liberated, and I just felt obsessed. I was convinced a year ago, I was like, this is gonna be the rest of my life. This is what I'm gonna do. This is my business. I am a coach. I am a photographer. I'm gonna always do this. I'm never gonna stop. And in the fall, so almost a year ago now, which is crazy to say out loud because this year has gone by so fucking fast, I started to feel burnt out. I was feeling overwhelmed. I was feeling confused because one part of me was like, you just need a break. Just take a break and you'll be fine. It felt like my mind and my body were at war with one another. It felt like my body was saying one thing and my mind was saying another. I am so passionate about sensual artistry. I truly, fully, completely am, and I'm never not going to be. And I am so passionate about helping people. But what I realized, as I've said before, I realized it was never about what I was doing and always about who I am in terms of what I give to others, what my purpose is, what my goal is, how I heal people, essentially. I feel that I went through some very necessary, difficult life changes this past year, as have a lot of people. And by taking a step back and coming back, my perspective has cleared so much more. I feel in terms of photography, it is not something I want to do as a job. I just don't. It is something I love. It is something I respect. It is something I am passionate about, but I realized I am not passionate about being a photographer as a full-time career. I have always been more passionate about the embodiment of sensuality, helping people, using my voice, providing space. That has always been my favorite. That has always been the purpose of all of it. It was never about the images. It was about the moment. And I used to say that all the time. You know, I think that's how my relationship with photography got better when I came back the second time, because I wasn't putting so much pressure on the images. I was focusing more on the experience. But I feel like because my heart was always so much more in the experience of being with other people, not just the capturing, that was when the burnout was really happening in terms of the photo production. It was starting to really get to me because I would have these thoughts sometimes where I'm like, this is awesome and I love creating art and sharing space, but sometimes I wish the camera wasn't here. Sometimes I just want to be with this person and have this conversation and have this experience, but without the camera here. And that makes no sense for a photographer to say that, to feel that way, because that would defeat the purpose of photography. But I knew that that was when I was really starting to shift, and I was really starting to want to lean more into the other side, the deeper meaning, the more literal side, not just the visual. But I didn't know how to let go of photography. I didn't know how to pursue my mission without a camera. My entire career has been built on my photography. Photography has always been the the creative outlet, the tool. It's always been the door that opened up to all these opportunities and these experiences with people. I didn't go to college. I don't have a fancy degree. I didn't pursue my life path the way a lot of typical people did. I created my own. I was a young kid out of high school who found herself in London, England for a summer. And then when she came home, found herself on a bus to New York for 2 weeks with her sister. Or not 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks after I got home. I was on a bus to New York with my sister for however many days. But still, I was a young girl who realized she could create her own path, that she could create her own life, even though she was very intimidated by the thought. But photography was like my comfort zone. It was my safety jacket. It was the thing that got me there because it was something that is so easy to talk about because you can just say, hey, look at this. Whereas when I was younger, I couldn't always get people to look at me, to listen to me. So if I was able to show them something that could stimulate their curiosity, then maybe they would take interest. I mean, that was then and this is now. I don't feel that way at all anymore. How I have grown and changed has been in my love for myself. And the 3 years that I spent away from photography the first time put so much into perspective, where I was like, wow, I'm worth so much more and life is so beautiful, and I want to be in it. I don't want to be looking at it through a lens anymore. I want to be here. I want to feel it. I want to smell it. I want to hear it. I want to do everything. I think that's also been the war inside my mind of me and social media, and photography has been the thing that's been teetering me on both sides of like, I love it here, I hate it here. I love it here, I hate it here. Me letting go of photography as a business feels like a reaffirmation that I am enough and I don't need to prove myself anymore. I know I'm good at it. I know it's something I'm talented at, but I am so much more than that. And I am talented at so many things. And I have come home to myself in such a beautiful and remarkable way. I have such confidence and such elegance with how I express myself and the way I can connect with people. I don't need an excuse anymore. So with that, I decided to say goodbye to photography back in March. I sold my original camera that I had that was very expensive, and I downgraded to another one, which is what I am filming on now. I want to heal my relationship with photography by changing it, by no longer having it be my work, having it just be a part of the process, having it be something that I know how to do and I can use to my advantage if need be. But at the end of the day, I will always be a writer, a speaker, a lover of dance and sensuality. I will always be someone who wants to help people by connecting with them fully. And I don't need photo sessions to do that. I feel like photography is such an easy way to get people in the door, to get them to want to work with you, because it kind of goes hand in hand with the whole algorithm tactics on Instagram of like, you see something and you're like, ooh, I want that. It's something that's so easy to captivate your mind. Whereas the people who go out of their way to listen and to learn from someone and to share space with someone vulnerably, I think that takes a lot of self-reflection and it takes a lot of intention. And I have harbored guilt for the last 6 months that I have been healing from life circumstances and stepping away from this part of myself, because I built up a community, I built up a following of people, and then I suddenly was like, I'm not doing this now, when before I was like, I'm doing it forever and it's the love of my life, which in that moment it was. Well, I think the love of my life has been my mission, has been my life's pursuit and what I do. That has not changed. So although the visual side of it has changed, the literal side of it is still prominent. Subsequent to me deciding to quit photography, I'm still doing my business. I'm just leaving the photo part out of it. I want to still work with people one-on-one through mentoring sessions. I want to continue writing and sharing my voice through my newsletter, which I love so fucking much. And all of you who are following me on there, you are amazing. You are incredible. Oh my God. Ever since I created a Substack, honestly, I feel like my soul has been healed. I feel like, I don't know, it's just being on a platform that is designed for writers. I feel like I'm with my people. I'm like, wow, I've truly come home. I want to continue helping people come home to their softness, to their vulnerability, to their sensuality, to their pleasure. All of that remains the same. It's just the visual side of it. I don't want to be the key factor anymore. I want the focus to be completely in embodiment and experiencing the unknown and trusting the unseen. To come home to your body is to be present in oneself and to dive deeper into the mysteries of who we are, to not be defined by the external, to be untethered, to be students of our own philosophies. Stepping away from photography has given me so much self-reflection, so much time to think, and also to come back and to be more present than ever. I have had a wonderful summer of dancing and sisterhood and writing my heart away and reading. Oh my God, I'm reading again. It has been so hard for me to read my beloved books. Since I started photography 10 years ago, I have a fucking library that is waiting for me, that is calling me, that has been calling me. And for the first time in years, I've started reading books and I actually finished them in a matter of a week or two. I have not done that since pre-photography. So I'm just reaping the benefits on a personal level of being able to connect with the things that are my greatest loves, which is writing, dancing, sensuality, baby. And I'm able to help people in such a better and more authentic way. And alas, I am about to lose my natural lighting, so I need to wrap up this video. In conclusion, it feels so good to come home to myself, and in evidence of that, I feel only closer to my work and how I connect with others and how I continue to help people. So my business still remains the same, just without the imagery. The heart of the matter is still there. And I am excited to expand on my work even more so now that I have let go of this safety jacket. That I can allow photography to be a part of my life in a simple way, in a small way, not as the focal point. I have learned that it's never too late to begin again. It's never too late to try something new, but really I'm just trusting what has always been. I am following my heart even more so than I have been. And I am excited to dive deeper into the meaning of what sensuality and vulnerability and pleasure and love, authenticity, of what all of it means to me. I am grateful to accept myself fully, and I can't wait to see what awaits. All right, without further ado, that concludes today's video. I thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so, so much. Till the next time. Bye, lovelies.